the two guys that managed the Rhino really helped me out a lot. Tim and Matt, they're cousins, and they really supported the Cadillac, and they would actually bring customers over here. And
really,
because it was like the stigma of like, what's going on in that place? People didn't know. Like they were like scared. They thought it was still Lynx. And then we just slowly built up our clientele. And but they really helped out, and they actually brought. I guess at that time they would have platoon parties with the police, and the police would work for whatever 14, 15 days in a row. Then they would have like 6 or 7 days off or something like that. So they would bring over the superintendents and the sergeants over here, and they were like, "Wow, this place is pretty cool." And then they stopped going there, and they would come here, and I was like, "What am I supposed to say, right?" But yeah, they were really supportive, and it was good. You know, yeah, we had to toss out a few guys once in a while, but we built up our clientele, and I worked behind the bar every single night, and I had to pay the bands, I had to pay my staff, so I was the last one to get paid, and there was no money, so I would have to work behind the bar just to make a few bucks and tips.
Do you remember the first name act that you brought in here where you took
the first one was Robert Gordon, and it was crazy insane. It was like we sold out of the show. It was only that we were licensed for 105 people. I think there was 200 people in the bar, and it was great. It was $20 or something like that, and it was insane. It was great.
First night at Robert Gordon here, it was pretty funny because one of the guys at the bar, big tall guy, suit with a girl, like Barbie and Ken.
Yeah.
And I'm talking to him, and I started laughing because, you know, I started to worry because it was getting so packed.
Yeah.
The guy there was Lord Athelaiton's son.
No way.
Who is in charge of the legal department for the LCPO.
No,
really?
Right, I'm talking to him, and I'm laughing, and then I said, "Nice crowd." And he goes, "Yeah, looks like the kid."
Yeah.
I said, "You're Robert Gordon fan?" He said, "Oh yeah, I'm a rockabilly fan." I knew him from way back in, I guess, 1979.
Did he grow up in the neighborhood too?
No, he grew up. He's a Beaches guy.
How did you meet Wanda Jackson? Who credits you as starting her career up again?
There was these two guys that would hang out at graffitis, Dave and John, and long beards, and they were the funniest old guys that would come down, and they would bring me these cassette tapes of like rockabilly music, right? And Wanda Jackson was on there, and Janice Martin, and I'm like, Wanda Jackson, I wonder if she's still around. So I check out on the internet, the early days of the internet, and lo and behold, she has a website, and she's touring. I sent an email, and I'm like, hey, I'd like to, bring Wanda Jackson to Toronto, and her manager, which was her husband, replied back, yeah, but we gotta have 2 nights to make it work. And I'm like, yeah, okay, we'll do 2 nights. I'm thinking, well, I'm gonna lose money, but it's gonna be good publicity for the bar, right? It'll be good. So I believe it was, they said $3,800. $3,800 for 2 nights.
Really?
Yeah.
That seems cheap.
It does seem cheap, but
in American funds.
In U.S. funds, but
in what year?
I'm going to get to this to the reason why it was so cheap, right? So $3,800. So being the shrewd businessman that I am, I negotiated down to $3,500 just to save $300. They said, yeah, sure, we'll do $3,500. So we did that, and I had to hire the backup band, which was the Risdales, and they were happy to do it, and so there was a bit of an expense there, and the Risdales learned all the music, and so we did the show, and I put the show up for sale, and I was sold out. The first night I was sold out, so we put the second show up for sale, but we're sold out like 2 months ahead of the show, which is like unheard of. I think the tickets $20. What do you remember?
25.
25, I think.
$25. But anyway, we're sold out, and we're only one side of the room. We did the show, and it was great. And then her husband, who passed away, rest in peace, Wendell. He kept on saying to me, "Make sure I have a table at the end of the night. Make sure I have a table for the merch." I'm like, "Yeah, Wendell, no problem, right?" So we set up on the backstage. We set up the table, and he opened up this 2 suitcases with the CDs and the 8x10s. And Wanda sat down after the show, and there was a lineup of people from the backstage right to the front door, waiting to buy merch, CDs and 8x10s. And if you had a record and you bought something, she would sign the record as well. They probably made about $5,000 worth of merch. And it was great. I'm like, okay, that's the way.
Everybody goes home happy.
And then I booked her once a year.
Without mentioning the name, or maybe you can. What was how shall I put it, the most horrible experience with the performer?
Wally knows this one.
Yeah.
I booked this Elvis tribute act. Lisa and the what was the name of the act? Something in the Lisa Marie's. So I thought it was like this dude who was an Elvis impersonator, and then this female backup band that were called the Lisa Marie's. And it was a cross-dresser up on stage.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck? Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
But this guy never fucking told me this, right? I'm like, dude. After and there was, if the place was packed, I wouldn't care, right? Whatever.
Yeah.
After the first set, I said, my friend, you kind of like, you didn't give me all the details. You gotta pack up your shit, get the fuck out of here.
So, is a guy dressing up as Elvis as a woman?
There was a guy dressed up as a woman, dressed up as Elvis.
Oh, wow.
You remember that?